Hello everybody, welcome to the sound test room, where today we are taking a look at Snakeboard. Yep, okay, so Snakeboard by Chem O'Clay or Olche is a grid sequencer. It's 16 steps, and you can do all sorts of cool stuff with it. So you can make it go this way or this way, like a snake, which is like kind of why. Anyway, so it's really intuitive. It's really very easy to use. So if we just look, for instance, at this first one, we'll solo the synth master channel and just play the sequence, and then let's make it full screen. Okay, so you might notice that at the moment I have these steps all turned down on gate mode, and this is the way you kind of get mutes to go on. So full on, off, on, off, on, off. If you just turn steps off, that isn't the same thing. It just literally just skips those steps completely. So you can have gate mode or velocity. You can run the same way. If you turn velocity all the way down, obviously you're not getting any velocity on the initial hit, so that note won't sound. Anyway, you also have probability. This is all kind of self-explanatory stuff, right? But we shall go through it all in some detail. And then there's step. So it's like I said, is step either on or off. But if the steps are off, it will just play them continuously. It won't skip those steps. And we'll be able to hear this as we play the sequence. You'll also notice down here the rate, which is the resolution, is set on 132. Let's set that back down to 1.8. And you'll also notice that the notes are represented inside the actual control dial. So for instance, B flat, F4, C6, D6. You can also limit the range it plays. If we go into settings here, this all becomes a lot clearer. So the key is G, the scale is minor. There are an awful lot of scales in here, an awful lot. Okay, so Midi channel 1, we don't need to worry about that. Minimum octave is 3, maximum octave is 5, so we can immediately hear this. It's not going to go above the 4th octave. Now it's going to play within the 1 octave range. And then we can change the scale. And it takes immediate effect. And then we have knob control style. I like it set on vertical and horizontal, which means we can either go, this way. Oops, I'm turning them on and off. If we go to the note, we can move it this way or this way. I don't like the other like rotary kind of vibe, but I do like this way. And also changing the notes in this will stick within the scale that you have set here. Okay, so that's quite important to know, that you can completely mess around with all these controls while it's running and still be in the same key that you've set. And our key is pentatonic minor, and we're in the key of G. So whatever we do, we can mess around with these and it's still all going to be musically correct. So you'll notice down here that the sequence, so we'll make sure that all our steps are on, right? And you'll notice that the sequence here is on sequence 1. We'll ignore the rate for now because we know what that does. That's just our tempo resolution. We can go up to, we have, I think, is it, it's lots and lots and lots. 24 different sequences that this can run in. Okay, so we can run through a few of those. Let's go back down to 1 so you can hear a few variations of the sequence. So press play. And try to watch the sequence as it's running. Maybe we can see it better. Change the sequence. See, it's running backwards now. Hi Jamie. Hi Ivan. So the sequence is how the snake will run through the actual notes, the controls. Then we have, so this is step. So we can choose to switch, we're in step mode. So we can choose to switch steps on and off. But if you notice, it's not like you're actually skipping a step. So if we start it off again and we turn some steps off, you'll still hear all steps play. So I'll run it as like, and that's it. Right now, this is the sequence. The sequence will be some of them gated, you see, and that's why you're missing notes. Like, remember, I said gate is like the actual mute. So let's just run these right up for now to 100%. So that every single note is going to trigger. And let's go back to step. And let's start to switch some of these off. So you switch steps on and off just by tapping on the actual knob here. Be careful when you're knob tapping as well. I'm just going to try and make this a little bit clearer for you so you can see it a bit better. Okay, so let's go back to our sequencer. So watch. So let's turn. So switching the step off does not create a mute or a gap in the step sort of thing. It just literally just chooses the ones that you have to play. So let's turn them all back on. Like I said, if you want to mute, there are a couple of ways to mute, which are kind of self-obvious sort of thing. We go to note, gate. So it's just playing this one as it comes round. And now we're playing it, we can bring the gates up a little bit. Now depending on how the synth is configured, you'll hear the gate. Not so much with this sound. And the other way, of course, is actually the velocity. Now you can hear the velocity on this sound, or any synth that's velocity sensitive, or any instrument that's velocity sensitive as well. could just pick a couple that were fully open for some interesting variations. And last but not least, in the mode, you have probability. Now, this is kind of, again, self-explanatory. Let's run all these velocities back up. And it's very quick to do this as well, so it's quite nice. So all the velocities are more or less back at 100%. If we run it now and then play with the probabilities. So let's go back to sequence maybe 1. Which runs so changing the velocities also gives, yes, it's new iOS Rustic. Dude, Jamie's here. Glenn, hi Glenn. So changing the probability percentage also is another nice way to generate randomness in your bits and pieces and things like this. So that's also very nice. I'm also going to show you how to record all this data into Cubasis as well, in case you don't already know. It's getting dark in here. Hang on. I just need some light for myself, basically. There we go. Right, so what all is this, Doug? Well, Jay, do you know what I mean? It's the skills in it. Do you know what I mean? If you ain't got the Midi skills, well, what can I tell you? What app is this? It's Synthmaster 1. So let's run the probabilities all the way back up to 100%. Now the sequences, I'm going to explain something as well. As we run through the sequences will change certain things like velocity, note, step, etc., etc. So just get a different sequence. Here's the randomize section. You don't touch randomize, by the way, but you can randomize the notes, the snake, which is how the sequence works, or all of it. Okay, so let's run this at 1.8 now. And let's just go to Synthmaster a sec. And let's run, do something with the amp envelope. So if we randomize the notes, we go on to note, and we randomize the snake, it's just picking. It's not like you can program your own snake pattern, but you'd have a job to program any more than Chem's already programmed. But if you watch down here at the sequencer and I randomize the snake, it just picks another sequencer number and it'll be different. Again, we can do this again. Or we can randomize all. We can go back in and turn them back on for even more interesting variations. Velocities are going to be gates. Okay, so we're on 16th resolution. We can go up to 64ths. Where it starts to get interesting as well is that when you have other synthesizers or keyboards or whatever, also that are running with Snakeboard, so another instance of Snakeboard. I'm just using Noir for an actual thing. So if you just solo them all, I press play now. Now the thing to remember is make sure that when you're playing with all this stuff, so if we go into the one for, I'm going to put all these back up now. In fact, I'm just going to change the sequence as well, but making sure that if you're so we're on G minor, so that's absolutely fine. So we're on G minor, and I'm now going to quickly show you the actual scales as well. So you have major, minor, and then oops, there we go. Scales, you have major, but you have all these different scales, and you know you're pretty much covered for all the scales that you'll probably ever need, to be fair, you know. So there you go. So let's change the scale to maybe I don't know, the I'll just change it to Mixolydian. And let's change the key to say F, so F Mixolydian. And if we make sure that now if we go to our Synth Master 1 and go to settings and we go to F and we go to our key, our scale, sorry, and we go Mixolydian, we know that both of our scales are locked in. And this would be the same for any other instances you would like to add. So you know you can go as much as your device can handle. You can keep adding different ones and keep messing around with the different patterns, but they're going to still be stayed locked into the actual scale that you've chosen. So you're always going to be in key if you're like, but just make sure that all your different Snakeboards are set the same, and then you're good to go. The rest of it you can go nuts. You can vary you can vary it with, well, the trouble with layer synth is the fact that it has a lot of very slow evolving textures, you know, and finding a sound would just be me looking for a sound that works, and it would just bore you to death. Anyway, if you're not bored to death already, that is. Right, so now we can solo Synth Master or solo Pure Platinum. Right. So let's add another instrument, okay? So let's add a pure piano, because this is really nice, right? So if I find pure piano. So pure piano. And it's going to load pure, and I'm just going to make sure that it's all connected and stuff, right? Right, so there's an instance of pure. Hang on a minute, just me. Oh no, that's okay. We can see what's going on. I'm going to just brighten it up a tiny bit for my benefit, because otherwise, there you go. Hope you can still see it okay. So with our pure piano here, we're going to, and this is where you want to be adding. It's in the Midi effects, by the way. So not in any other effects, in Midi effects. And then we can find it down the bottom a bit, won't we? So Snakeboard, there it is. We're going to, let's solo pure piano, right? Wherever it is. I think that's it there. So You see, it's all playing the same note because this is how initially it starts. So what you want to be doing, go to your settings, right? And what was it? What did we have it in? F. And it was F Mixolydian, wasn't it? Okay. Now all we need to do is randomize the notes. We can do it again if we want, or start moving them yourself. Now, let's slow this down to 1. I'm just going to unsolo. So I'll just turn the others down in the mix. There's pure. So what's nice about running it this slow? Well, we can then go in I'm going to add but if we were running faster, watch what happens, right? For this particular effect I'm trying to achieve. We go into our MIDI effects here, go to Snakeboard. Let's run the rate back up. Which is, to be fair, absolutely fine, right? So, if we go into pure piano and we want to do this, which is the beautiful reverse, it's going to have difficulty catching up with the actual note that's been played by pure, because it's like a reverse and it needs time. Can someone give me an answer? It says it on the notes, but I don't know what it means. Sorry, right, Solrak. What did he say? I have a question. It has nothing to do with this video. Drum session from iOS. I'm confused if I had to delete the app again and reinstall it. If it had an update, all you need to do is literally just update it. You don't need to uninstall it to update. Any app, just update the app. You don't need to uninstall any app to do an update. Just update the app. It'll be absolutely fine. And you shouldn't lose any of your work, etc., etc. So it says to reinstall it. Oh, well, if that's the case, then follow the instructions. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Sorry. Right, I need to concentrate on this. Right, so pure piano selected. This is it. And if we slow it down to 1 now, the rate. Hear this? How brilliant is that? And then it could be a little bit quiet, so let's bring in some of the others. Now we're getting into the realms of ambient. Bring noir back in. Start to mess around with it. Pure. If we solo out this pure piano, pure synth doing the vocal, which is really quite nice. Let's add some insert effects to this. Now, let's do this. In fact, let's not worry about our looping. the cool thing is now, because we have MIDI effects and because we have this very cool feature, if we go into our MIDI effects section for, say, we don't need to worry about Pure, because Pure is an instrument, it will just record as it is. But if we go into our, let's go into our MIDI effects, our Snakeboard, and the thing to here is where it says record to track, enable this, record to track. Okay, go to your next one, select it, record to track, and go to your third one, which also has your Snakeboard effect in there, which is for Pure. I'm just going to make sure I'm on the right one, so I'm already on that. So record to track is armed, record to track is armed, and last but not least, record to track is armed. So yeah, I'm changing them all in the right thing. So all we need to do now basically is arm everything, right? Make sure we go back to the beginning of our sequence. Give ourselves make sure our record is on. See all the MIDI been recorded. No, you couldn't, Glenn. Now we can just stop it. And you'll see what it's done for us is record all that MIDI data in there for us, being played by these instruments, and then we can either just switch off the we don't need them now, they're not going to be doing anything, we can switch them off. So all the Snakeboards will be disabled like this. In fact, we'll stop record to track on them as well, unless you wanted to record something else at some other point. In fact, what we can do is, just to prove a point, we'll take that off as well. But just to prove a point, what we'll do is MIDI effects, we'll tap on them, go to list browse, go to here, and just go to none. So we've taken it off that one, and let's take it off this one as well. So that's our insert effects. MIDI effects is gone for this. We'll do it for this, MIDI effects, so it's gone. MIDI effects, that's still there for that. Let's do this. Go back there. Turn it off, actually get rid of it so it's not in there, and go for MIDI effects for this again. Just select it, go down, go none, and so we've got rid of all the actual Snakeboards are now gone, but we're still left with our MIDI. We can unarm these now as well, so we're not recording anymore. We can skip back to the beginning, and here we go. Now, because this is MIDI, and you couldn't do this with, Glenn was saying, you couldn't, because Gauss records audio, and if you were going to use Gauss, I'd use it in AUM for experimental work, but Gauss won't record MIDI, Gauss just records audio, and then you can manipulate it, and it's not Gauss, the developers and Heimbach will tell you that Gauss is not meant to be a fixed, solid. It's meant to force you into experimental territory like tape used to. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. The recording the MIDI is absolutely brilliant. So remember, on any of your MIDI effects to record MIDI to track, and then you're just good to go. Except with Noir, because Noir was just an instrument, so it's just recording its data in, which is this. So this is absolutely brilliant, which means that you can, if you want to, if you're feeling brave, go in and edit all your MIDI. You can just change the sounds out on the fly if you want to. If you're not happy with any of the sounds that you have, you can just literally go in and change them. And then at the end, when you're happy with everything, we can run this past, because we'll also hear that we'll run a thing anyway. But you should, when it stops, you'll hear all the effects tails and stuff like this. Oh, I love Gauss, Rusty. I'm not even kidding you. I think it's just awesome. So from a performance aspect, it's really cool. If we switch to our mixer view now, and I'm using the fader port, so we can just like do like a little performance, and if we really want to, we can set this to loop just in case it runs over. Let me just switch that on. Yes, I have I have loads and loads of videos on Gauss. So you can mess around with this. All you like. And of course, because it's MIDI, still MIDI, we haven't froze anything. We can then just, you know, speed it up, slow it down, do what we like, add more notes in, change it out. Gauss isn't for everybody. You've got to love the unpredictability of Gauss to really appreciate it. You know, it's pointless trying to get Gauss to do what you want it to do, because it will do its own thing. You have some control, but the idea is the unpredictability of it is what makes it exciting. Well, what makes it exciting for me. If you want predictable audio looping, use Enzo. Enzo is also amazing, and I've got some informative tutorial videos on that too. But I really like this. And in the end, when you're totally happy with everything, you could try freezing this, and we can try freezing this like this. Hopefully it'll probably just give us a long effects tail, but let's see if it works, shall we? You never know, because sometimes it doesn't. Depends on the app. Sometimes apps get a bit strange and don't like freezing, but we shall see. We might be lucky here. I don't know. You usually just get 2 straight lines if it don't work. So looks like let's see how it copes with noir. Should be quite easy with noir. Oh, so let's just gosh, it looks like it's worked. I can't believe it. Just yeah, that's better. Wait a minute. Track 8. Right, it's all worked. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the I'm going to delete those, and I should be back to my correct settings on my fader port now. Let's pick that up. Start with noir. So there you go. Awesome stuff. We had a look at SnakeBud and also how to record your MIDI effects into Cubasis, which is super useful because if you've got something in Collider or one of these ones that kind of self-generates stuff, you know, and you think, oh, that sequence is so cool, I want to capture that now and record it now. The MIDI, you can record the MIDI and then you can convert it to audio, of course. Excuse me. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Jade is on in 15 minutes, checking out 20 of her favorite apps. So hopefully somebody will put a link in the chat feed for that. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't already liked the video, please like it now or subscribe to the channel. Please consider making a donation or a super chat or a super sticker. And or just generally, you know, just being cool. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. We'll run this track again while you say ta-ra to each other. And yeah, cool beans. See you later. Ta-ra. Oh, Joe is going for his second jab tomorrow, so cool beans for that as well.